Okay, we're recording now. And if everyone can mute while we take a look at this. So again, welcome everyone. All right, Huey, I think, can you mute yours? So take again, looking at those 6 themes of AP, and then looking at typical topics in level 1. And as you go up through all 6 of them, I mean, through all the levels on up to AP, you'll find that whatever it is can fit, but we're using the vocab and grammar that's appropriate for that level. I want to show you real quick, when you click on this, which I will be giving you this, I've got all kinds of resources here for you. One really good one is this activities and strategies. And it just lists all kinds of ideas of what kind of games, activities, support OWL, Organic World Languages, which is very interactive. She talked in the opening thing about the UN strategic goals. And this is one I love to use because they tie in greatly. And I could do a whole lesson just on that. But here's some links to that. Like, think about level 1 food or another level of food. The free rice activities, kids can actually get involved right here in activities, playing games that helps provide food around the world. All right. So let's take a look at some sample planning templates. How many of you can just raise your hand. Do you have a template that you really like to use to plan your lessons? Anyone have one that they really like, or is it kind of maybe bullets or notes kind of thing? Well, I'm going to give you some sample ones. And we all should be familiar with the World Readiness Standards. Right here, our lessons should evolve around this. And the most important one, of course, is communication. So interpersonal, those speaking, sharing activities, interpretive, that listening, reading, comprehension, and then presentation, either writing and speaking and presenting it. And then tying them in with the cultures, making connections to other things, maybe across the curriculum, other countries, comparisons, and communities. So that's a very important one to always think with those standards. Now, I like to, again, begin with the end in mind. Unit lesson plans. Here's a sample planner that was at a workshop at ACTFL. And I'm going to show you a sample unit. Let me make this bigger. Can you all see this? Okay, so here's a sample unit planner. I like to start with a unit. And there's a blank one of these in that world language resource in the slides, so you'll be able to access this. And I was hoping to give you guys time where we can get together and create a few or share, but you guys can always, I'm giving you a link to a share file where you guys can all share, just put the language, the level, and the theme, and that way people can share. And if you use these are real great, but just here's a typical one. Level 1, 10 days. Performance range, novice low to novice mid. That is classic first year. 50-minute classes, some might be 80. Theme, food challenges around the world. Now we're going to, even though it's level 1, you can take it up from just the food unit to food challenges around the world, which will align with the global challenges in AP and the UN goals. Essential questions, what role does food accessibility play in our lives? The difference of what food do you like? We can change that up to what food do you have? What food do they have at a basic level? Just think of those basic things that they know how to say. Then we want to use the ACTFL I can statements. So when they complete this lessons, what can students do? I can talk about food. I can and make comparisons. I can discuss food pyramids using, and this one was in Spanish, but those verbs to eat, to drink, to take. I can identify if food is healthy. I can compare food pyramids from other cultures if they're available. Then you're going to look for summative assessments. So in interpretive mode, there's a PowerPoint called Hungry Planet showing what people typically eat around the world. And then they'd have to answer comprehension questions. That would be an interpretive mode. Presentational, polished, they would actually maybe create a food pyramid or a chart with a partner and compare it with another country and present it. That would be presentational mode. Interpersonal, with a partner, they have to discuss, describe, and ask about food preferences and comparisons. On demand, they'd have to answer questions about food preferences, food security. Do you have? Do you know? Do they have? Do they don't have? Do they don't have? And then here under cultures, the product would be maybe something very simple. What foods you like and what you don't like. Practice, ask and answer about food. Perspective, their individual preferences. Another product, create a food pyramid from your culture. And then practice, identify food differences. Perspective, UN global goals, food security. So here again, making connections, it's using the standards, making connections, comparisons, communities. I'm not going to go into all of this, but this will give you an idea of some different activities. And then here's the I can statements by the modes, the 3 modes of communication. Now, notice that the grammar is way down here. One thing I've heard when I've been into many schools and many places, and I'll go, oh, just speaking with teachers, what's the lesson today? And they'll go, oh, we're doing, or what unit are you on? Or what? And they'll go, oh, we're doing to be, the verb to be. And I'm going, yes, but what's the topic? Well, they'll be able to use it. Well, what's the I can conjugate the verb. Well, that's not authentic language. If an I can or a topic ever says the grammar, then that is not a theme. And again, you can always look to the AP themes for ideas if you don't have one. If you have your textbook, you'll notice none of the textbooks, at least none of the new ones in the past 10 years, and I think I've met with every publisher and reviewed, and at least in 4 different languages, the newest textbooks, they're all thematic because we want comprehensible input, authentic language. And so be sure, and that's where the grammar comes, is down here. So supporting functions. And then what vocabulary? Well, if they're going to talk about using the verb to be, which Spanish has 2 of them, what vocab do they need to know to use with it? And then key learning activities. So you want to list what kind of formative activities you would be doing. And then what supporting technology, slides, videos. Google Earth is great fun. The UN Global Goals, Sustainability Goals, and World Food Program. And then here's a link to the standards, the can-do statements. So this is just a quick sample that is in this link that's on the slide. You'll be able to get to all of this. So there was a sample food unit. There's also a sample day unit, and then the Hungry Planet PowerPoint that would go with it, which this was actually one of my student teachers a year or 2 ago created, which I'm a big fan of slideshow presentation because it forces kids to look up from their phone, and the more pictures, the better. And, and it just shows what different people eat around the world. And this is a great tool that you can use at any level to just talk about food. Level 1, they're like, ¿qué te gusta? Oh, ¿qué hay? And, what do you see? What do you see? And they have to show those or talk about those kind of things. And again, whenever you need to review the AP themes, here's the link also to College Board AP. This is really a great guiding principle. All right. So there's the unit lesson plan and the daily lesson plan. So when you do that, then you need to decide what summatives you're going to assess and how. Here are 2 sample ones that are classic rubrics to use to assess. Let me make that bigger. To assess. This one's for a writing presentation. So maybe they wrote a little paragraph or essay or some kind of book or chart, and they write about it. So you have something written that you're going to grade. This is a generic rubric. So task completion, content, the discourse, grammar, vocab. And this is very common throughout many of the curriculum that you find out there. Score of 20 points, or if you're on standard-based grading, or if you're on percentages, it gives you the variations down here. But strong is exceeding expectations. Good, good solid B, fair C's, 1 weak, 0's down like that. And it gives you a little chart there. So that's one. All right, I got kitty fur here that's making my mouse not want to move. And then same thing with the speaking rubric for presentational. Same kind of thing, but a couple things different. Fluency, that pronunciation, the speaking. And again, you're going to make judgments based on what you're seeing. But this, when the kids see a rubric like this, yes, I am going to share. Actually, I'll drop the link in just a minute for the entire slides, but it will also be in PNCFL, all the information for this. So this, you can use any of these, and feel free, anything that comes from my stuff is all shareable. So, well, since we're a small group, let's not do a breakout room, but how many of you would be interested in working on creating a slide, or do you want to ask some questions and explore some of the options? I'm going to drop this link in here so you guys can all access this. So there's the link to the whole presentation. Do any of you have some plans that you feel like have been really well done that kind of fit this style that meets, these are considered the best practices that align with ACTFL and OSPI and our state languages? Here's our sharing. Nope. There's our share file. And I'm going to drop that one in. And even if we don't get to it here, you can always work on this later. All right, so let's go back. First of all, any questions or anything that you would like to explore a little further, like some of the activities and strategies? Any of those anyone's interested in? So I was hoping to put everyone into some groups by language, but I think we can create a generic one. So would you all be willing to turn on your microphones and your cameras if you can? Now, if you're busy with kids and dinner, I totally get it. I have 5 grandkids and I live next door to 2 of them and the other one's down the road. And sometimes I'm busy helping little ones. So would any of you like to help create a generic plan? So let me start. I'm going to go around and let me ask you pick a level you're teaching right now. I'm going to ask you your language, a level, and what theme or unit or topic that you're on right now. Oh, no problem, Charles. Take care of those corgis. Helen, what language do you teach?
So I'm currently not teaching yet.
Oh,
I
that's right.
did
You're working on your master's.
Yeah, I did teach an intensive English course for my practicum. I've tutored a little bit for Japanese.
Oh, cool.
So I don't have a lot to share today. I'm really in it to learn from everyone else.
That's wonderful. So what are you hoping to teach? ESL or EL and Japanese then? Or
yeah, whatever opportunities come my way.
That's wonderful. Now, have you done your student teaching?
I have not. No, I only was required to do a practicum, or I don't even know if that was required actually, but I chose to do it so I could gain some experience.
Idea. Yeah.
But no, I unless I guess I teach high school level, I haven't really been asked or required to, do any teaching. So I'm just kind of trying to find opportunities, I guess.
That's great. So where do you teach? I mean, where are you going to school?
I'm going to school for University Southern Indiana, but it's an online program. So I'm actually living in Washington State.
Oh, okay, great. Well, if you ever need any help, once you get ready, feel free to reach out and contact me.
Thank you. I actually went to Western for my bachelor's. So.
Well, they usually give me all the language teachers from Western who do any language. And I'm like, sure, give me any language. I know like this much of about 6 languages, give a week or 2. Well, let me show you one other resource that I'll come back to in a minute. And this is my website that used to have really beautiful templates, and so the template went away. So now it's just a list, but it's got great resources of things to access. Like here's all the standards and all. So Charles, how about you? What language do you teach?
Sorry, I muted because they were going out.
No problem.
German, I'm high school and introductory university, and all levels at the high school. So. Oh,
nice. And what unit? If you picked a level, what unit are you kind of on now?
German 1 is currently in clothing and going to be moving into food. German 2 is in health and going to be moving into travel. And German 3 is my homebrew Alaska unit.
Okay.
So I'm open for all of those.
Wonderful. You know what? So let's go back to, I want to go to this. Where'd it go? Right here. I'm going to move that over. So clothing. And then the other one was health.
Clothing and health are the current ones, yeah.
So if you were going to take those and align them with an AP theme, which theme or topic do you think would go best with them?
Well, I mean, like I wouldn't say there's necessarily one that goes best. With the clothing, we kind of like to throw in German has some issues with fast fashion. Kind of the throwaway fashion. And so once we cover what it is, we do that because we practice like buying and selling and being like, that's so cheap, but is it cheap or is it reasonable? And we talk about this store called Kick in Germany. So I always consider that to be more global challenges, but of course, mostly aligns with beauty and aesthetics.
Yeah, I can see where, especially like the traditional clothing, but then if you look at how many immigrants are in Germany now, I lived in Germany for 3 years, 40 years ago. And when I look at it now, and when I've been over in Europe, the challenges that are going on and the costs of living and all. So that's really good ways to tie together. And it is nice when you can tie a couple of themes together. Carmen, are you there still?
I'm here.
Okay, what language? And pick a level and a theme.
So
That you're
I teach
working on.
Spanish second year, third year in native speakers.
Oh,
And I teach French first year.
great. And where are you located?
I'm in Washington,
Oh, what area?
state of Washington.
What city?
Well, in Auburn, I work in Auburn, but I live in Renton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in Seattle, but I had a student teacher at Auburn High last semester. So
Oh yeah, I recognize you, of course.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was a teacher across the hall.
Oh, I did meet you. You're right.
Yeah.
She was wonderful.
Yes,
So,
she was.
what are some themes, topics that you're working on in your content area?
So for second year, we're doing sports and health. So I see probably global challenges or no, science and technology.
Yeah, I would think that health and would go into that. And depending on the country or in areas within the country, global challenges could be part of it because the access, I know when I was teaching in Mexico one summer, and I visited an elementary, and one of the playgrounds, if you could call it that, it was right next to a wood cutting blade and it had a broken piece of play equipment. And so combining that, okay, health and challenges and how can we make things better? And they had a really good fundraising program where partnership between the hotel where I was teaching the staff and the schools to help improve it. So, okay, we'll keep yours in mind too, health. And then let's see, it says Ana está matendo. Did I say it even close?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you do? What language?
I teach French.
Oh,
Yeah, we have an international French school at Lake Oswego in Portland.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I'm a student at Portland State University.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So what levels are you? Oh, I'm sorry. What levels are you working with?
Elementary school.
Oh, elementary.
Yeah.
Aren't they fun? They're so cute.
And I'm teaching first grade and second grade.
Oh, how fun. So what themes and topics are you working on right now?
For the moment, I'm working about to the school. And I have 5 lessons in this unit. And the first lesson is about what is that? Qu'est-ce que c'est? It's about what the students are using in the classroom.
Alors, qu'est-ce que c'est? C'est quoi?
C'est quoi? Voilà. And the second lesson is about what do you like during the recess? Qu'est-ce que tu aimes faire pendant la récréation?
Oh, so they're more like activity vocab. So the first one, qu'est-ce que c'est? What was the vocab they would need to use?
Yeah, the vocabulary we use like backpack, like pencil, like eraser, but in French, I have 8 words like that. They have to learn because they must know what they have to put in their backpack when they come at school.
Oh, okay, so I guess school supplied, so the school environment.
Exactly.
So would that be, which one do you think? Which category would that fall under, do you think?
Let me see. Contemporary life. I think it can be contemporary life.
Yeah, I think there's personal and public identities, yeah.
Yeah, but you can put it in
contemporary life. Yeah. Oh, education. Yeah, those because there usually are a couple that overlap, but you can kind of see those guidelines. All right. So let's take a look at, well, I wanted to create a lesson plan altogether, but I think we're so varied that what we're going to do is let's look at some of the strategies. Or do you have a preference? Do you want to try and create a lesson plan together? Since we're all so varied, Or would you like to look at some of the activities and strategies? And let's see, you guys can give me a thumbs up or down if you're familiar with it. Have you used it? And was it successful? All right, where is it? Here we go. So give me a thumbs up if you're familiar with it or have used it, either one. And if not, you can give me a thumbs down and I can explain, or someone can explain what it is. So Kahoot, anybody use that? Yeah, Kahoot is real popular because you can get the kids on their phones. Okay, so one time you're saying, okay, you have a computer in your pocket, let's take it out and use it properly. And they're actually answering the questions that come up on the board. And many of them are already created in the language. And so I've found, I'll just make an account in Kahoot, just type in Kahoot in Google, and it'll take you there and it'll take you step by step. How about Quizlet Live or Quizlet? Anyone use Quizlet? So Quizlet is great and it's available in many languages. And then they added about, a couple of years ago, Quizlet Live, and it has the games already prepared. And often I often found that I didn't have to do hardly anything. Sorry, just reading your notes. They're great. Thank you. Zoom polls. Many of you saw me doing that at the very beginning. If you look down at the bottom where it says polls, if you ever are doing a Zoom class, like maybe you've had a snow day and they're still making you teach or whatever, and create Zoom polls and you can ask questions to students. Those are always fun. And they make a great icebreaker at the beginning. So when students come in, they can answer stuff. How many of you are familiar with comprehensible input? Yeah, so it's exactly what it says. It is comprehensible input. So you're speaking in a way that they can understand and be able to respond. Project-based learning, I think it just has a new name. We've all done projects for years at all levels. These are summatives. Some people were surprised that, well, yeah, but they used all these helps along the way, but it's something, and I always had them presented either to a group or to the whole class. Those are great. Integrated performance assessments. Anyone ever use those? Yeah. So again, if you want more information on all these, and again, this was just an activity list I threw in at the end as a resource, not as doing all this, but we'll be doing this instead of the lesson planning. But you did see the one sample. But basically, it has an interpretive part to it, an interpersonal part to it, and a presentational. So it has all three, and the students develop it all over that. TPR, basically, we're all actors. We act out everything. We talk with our hands. We make kids move, get up, move around, do the actions. And then TPR storytelling, you're telling the whole thing with pictures. A really good formative, because one thing, this was something else I wanted to highlight. When I go into a classroom to observe teachers, I make notes on strategies and the environment, all these different things. And a simple thumbs up, thumbs down shows me that every single student in the class, that's interpretive. They had to comprehend. You ask a question to the class, if everyone has responded, I can put engagement that the students are doing. Sometimes you can have a question up there if you're not being able to do a poll, but a simple fingers, multiple choice. Numero uno, or un, deux, trois, ein, drei, ein, zwei, drei. Just, I know a little bit of a lot of languages. Notebook, journal writing, that kind of things. 4 corners. Okay, if you agree with something, if you have 4 opinions on something, go to that corner, and they all have to get up and move to the opinion of whatever. Or it could be 2 opinions. If you agree, go to that side. If you disagree, go to that side. Of course, always videos, audios, YouTube. I hope you all have access to YouTube in your classrooms. I've been at a place where it was blocked. I was really surprised because it's so many great resources. There is TeacherTube and an educator block tube, but mostly we just have to preview it and make sure they're good to go. Where am I? Pictionary is always fun. Any of you have whiteboards in your classroom? So little whiteboards, and if not, just a piece of paper. Okay, draw this, and they have to guess, or you tell them the story and they have to draw the pictures, or having someone up at the board doing Pictionary, drawing something. Ball toss, I'd have a beach ball, pass around the room. I had something, one of those pelotas from Mexico one time. It was too rough. I'm like, whoops, don't use a hard ball in the classroom. Learn that the hard way. Fly swatter. Anyone ever use that one? They have pictures all over and you call out a word and you have two teams and they run up with the fly swatters, and whoever hits it first, their team gets the points. Jigsaw, I love doing jigsaw activities. So a jigsaw would be, let's say maybe even a textbook. There's 4 different topics in there. One on the culture of something, one on the geography of it, one on something. So they're reading little paragraphs through a chapter book. Well, you assign each group a different part of the book or the section or lesson or story to read. And then they get 10 minutes, put it all together into something, and then they get up and they present it to the class. To get the highest scores in your teacher evaluations, the best scores to get that distinguished is where the kids are doing the most work and you're saying the least. You're a guide on the side, not a sage on the stage, as the saying goes. Bingo is fun if you have bingo cards. Here's a link to that free rice. And all the kids do, they love this. When kids would finish early, they'd go, can I go to free rice? And I'd say yes. So it's sponsored by the World Food Program that partnered with all these corporations around the world. So for every word in Spanish, it gives you all these different languages in Spanish, in French, in German. I forget how many languages. They're basically it's translating, but guessing the meaning of words. And there are some that are more advanced that are completely in the language. For every word they guess correctly, it donates 10 grains of rice. And so the kids, and you can set up an account to track it all. And so we did this one year to see if we could get to 1 million grains, and we did. And that was really exciting for the class. I'm like, you guys did 1 million grains of rice to help. And here, you guys don't need money. You didn't have to travel to another country. You can do it right here. Anytime you finish your homework or your assignment early in class, you can go do humanitarian work at the end. It's a great filler. The UN Global Goals, I'm going to click on this because I love these so much. I've worked with them for 23 years now. And there used to only be 8. Actually, you guys want to hear the quick story behind it? I think they're going to have a whole class on this, which I didn't realize tomorrow. But in the year 2000, world leaders and some of the big corporate people like the Gates Foundation, they got together and they came up with 8 goals of what they wanted, where did they want to be in 15 years. And one of them was to cut poverty in half. And that would be people living on less than $1 a day. And then you can see, so they had all these goals and they met some of them. They met again in 2015. They met some of the goals, but not all of them. And so then they brought in more people of power, politically and corporate, and said, okay, they came up with 17 goals, I believe. Yep, 17 goals. So they expanded the goals. And the goal is by 2030 to have no poverty. Now, we've had major setbacks in the last couple of years. And the quality education, these kind of things, these are wonderful. I've had students just pick a goal and do a presentation on each topic, especially at AP level, but you can do it at any level even. And this is where you can really bring in that social justice piece and global challenges. One of the standards for student teachers in my evaluations is, are there social justice pieces? And so this is a wonderful guideline to help get you there. And then UNICEF, this is another, we would do fundraisers in the after school clubs. And one of our favorite thing was to raise enough money to buy, is somewhere on here, School in a Box. And basically what it is, it's enough supplies to for 40 students and a teacher at a refugee camp. So it's a box that has all the supplies so that when these children wind up in these refugee camps, they found that the best thing to do is get them into a school structure as quickly as possible and help them to regain some sense of structure again in their life, and that the kind of things that they put in those boxes. And I think they used to be like $200 for a box. So it's a real reasonable thing and a real easy goal to achieve for especially after school clubs. Brain breaks. How many of you are familiar with brain breaks? Yeah, just, when they've been sitting too long, to say, okay, everybody up. We're going to do a little brain break. What my students, literally AP students, we do the number brain break. And you have two people standing right across from each other. They put their hands behind their back. They pull their fingers out and the other person has their fingers out and they have to count the total. So let's see, I have 4, they have 5, 9. They say the number and they think that's the coolest thing. I'm like, oh, good, easily pleased. And they're thinking, they're counting, maybe because it is simple and it's challenging and they like the competition. Sentence puzzles. These are all just little simple ideas. Sing-alongs. I used to do karaoke days, like after a summative test. They're hilarious. Oh my goodness. I'd get up there and sing with them. Oh yeah, the whiteboard, doing whiteboard activities. Any of you ever use Lookit? This was new to me. I saw some of my student teachers present using this in the past year, and they love it, and the students love it. I didn't put that, so I don't have the links in all of these. These were just ideas I had been writing down and gathering from people, but I can put in more links. But if you literally just type in Google, go to Google and type in any of these. I'm a big fan of Google because my son-in-law next door works for Google, so I have my own IT support. Artwork, art across the curriculum, in the AP, when you're doing the art and aesthetic stuff, they had to draw, like a famous person from, in history or whatever, Black History Month, people in history from those countries. That's a really important one. And then they get up with just that picture, but they have to tell about it. And so that it gives them it gives them a visual aid when they're speaking in front of people to take the focus off their face. It puts the focus somewhere else and it gives them a little more confidence too. Gimkit was another one I learned from student teachers, and it's another great activity. So again, there's more on my website. We have a bunch on the WAFLT website. Oh, I need to change that. We have a new website. I'll update that. It's no longer WAFLT.net. There's the Spanish Association, all kinds of engagement games, YouTube, the games, movements, story, brain breaks. So anything you'd like to know more, they're on there. All right. I'm going to show you a sample. I showed you a unit. Oh, we only have like 1 more minute. I showed you a unit plan, but here's a sample daily plan. Now, to be honest, I rarely did daily plans. I did unit plans. And then I had my little planner sitting on my table or my teacher desk where I'd write the little daily bullet notes for the day. But I liked having a real strong, but some people like to have a clearly written daily lesson plan. And maybe I did that because I was teaching all levels. If I just had 1 or 2 for the whole day, but I mean, like when I taught for the Department of Defense schools in South Korea, I had French 1, 2, 3, 4, Spanish 1, 2, 3, and split classes, 1 and 2s in one class, 3. The whole school, high school was 400 kids. So you adapt. So UniPlans guided me. My planner book did the rest. So you can take a look at this also. Did everyone get the link to the slideshow? Let me put it in there again. And it will also be, I'll put it in for PNCFL to have it. Did that go? Did that work? There we go. All right, so there's the whole slideshow and the links to all the resources, the unit planning, the AP guidelines, the strategies, the rubrics for grading. That's all embedded in the slideshow. So feel free to access any of it. And I appreciate all of you being here. And if there's anything I can do, please let me know and feel free to reach out to me anytime. Basically, if you ever type in Lansberry language, you'll find me. Thank you again for all coming and enjoy your next sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.